Welcome back to Maypole Farm. You will see the money has gone up a lot. I have done a metric butt ton of contracts. Yes, a metric butt ton, not a imperial butt ton. We work in metric here. Well, I work in mixed units, but anyway. I did grab screenshots of all of the contracts that I did, but it's so many that I think it's going to be an utter pain in the backside to try and put them all on the screen. Hoeing. I've been hoeing myself out across the map and have made a lot of money. Hoeing pays incredibly well. There was a bit of fertilizing. There are more fertilizing contracts still. There was hoeing and mowing. There was a little bit of mowing. I found that weeding contracts are a really bad idea. I did a couple of those and neither of them completed. What I found was that weeding removed some of the weeds, but not enough of the weeds for the contracts to complete. Given that I had weeded the whole fields, I gave myself the money from doing those jobs and have since avoided them. I've been into the better contract settings as well, actually, before we carry on. And I've made some changes. So I have turned off tree transporting, deadwood, and rock destruction contracts. I also did... No, I didn't do any more stone picking. I did stone picking last time. Stone picking pays quite well as well. And pro tip, you only need to pick the stones up. You don't need to do anything with them. Now, if you were, a savvy person, you could bring them back to your farm, store them, get yourself a stone crusher, make some lime if you really wanted. But yeah, hoeing's really easy money because you don't use any consumables. It pays really well. And the kit's quite quick. So... yeah. Yes, I'm promoting hoeing yourself out. That said, we have a decent amount of cash in the bank at the moment. What I would like to do, and we're going to reset our store deliveries point. We need some tools for the Merlot, which we're going to pick up. I'm just going to check whether there are any in the sales. There is something that I do want to get in the sales. Probably not the thing that you think, having scrolled through. But no, there is not anything there. So if we go to actually under front loader tools, the Bristol and Lund shovel, one of my favorite mods ever in the game, it would turn out, and it's really random because it's a bucket, but always really useful. We don't need to go insanely big. We'll go 2,400 litres, give or take. We'll get it in telehandler. We'll get it in the standard colour. So let's buy that for just over $2,000. And then I also want a bale spike. Now, these Robert ones, do these do telehandler? They do not. Okay. In which case, I was going to go for this guy. I think I've been using this guy on my... I started playing the game for fun, I know. And I think I've been using this guy on that. So I've been playing on one of Kale's maps. I think Kale's only got one map on FS25. Downhole? Something like that. Really cool map, having a lot of fun. So we're going to buy that as well. And that's the bale spike I think I've been using on there. So that's those purchased. That means we can start making use of the Merlot for telehandling jobs, teleporting jobs. I know some people call them teleporters, don't they? But, you can't really tell. Well, you can teleport it in FS because you can press F12. But, that would be wrong. So let's drop that there ready for the soybeans. I haven't done any mobaling contracts, so we've not got mobales. do need to feed the cows again before we sleep, which is what we're going to do once we've finished shopping. So, yeah. That looks kind of familiar, doesn't it? I wonder if that's the same one. And whether I could have just changed it. It looks very familiar. Anywho, we've now got one for the telehandler and our little front loader. So that's not a bad thing. Did you guess what I'm going to buy in the sales now? I'm not sure you were right. We don't have a trailer currently. This is only 24 grand and has a capacity of 17,000 litres and is a bit different. So it's got 300 horsepower. It might not be uber quick with only 300 horsepower. We could make it 600 horsepower for an extra 5 grand. But I don't think we need to. In the future, we could if we want. For free, we can make it 24,000 litres. I like that idea. So I think we're going to buy this instead of getting a trailer. I don't have my headphones on, so I'm not going to know what this sounds like until I do the editing. But I just thought this was a real bargain, basically. In terms of an alternative to a trailer. Because for 24 grand, and it's self-propelled, so yeah, and it's something a bit different, and I seem to be doing that on here. So I'm not going to buy the combine. I very rarely buy combines on a save until we're much further in, because we use them for such a short period of time. So I'd love to get one of the Challenger 2 tracks, but we cannot afford it at the moment. The same with the planter. We use it for such a short amount of time. I don't think it's worth buying. So we won't. If we hadn't have brought the Merlot, this would have been a tempting option, but we don't really need it. So what we need to do is jump in the stayer and feed some cows. And then we're gonna sleep, and we might end up sleeping through to the oat harvest. The other thing I need to do is place the something we might need to do we need to do some straw as well. Yeah, they're getting a little bit low. Yeah, we'll top their straw up as well. I need to place the feed purchasing point. Consensus was to do that. Well, not consensus. Mark suggested, Mr. Thor, God of Hammers, suggested that we, or agreed, whatever, that we go for doing that over at the animal dealer. Now, I think I'm going to have to do some shenanigans to be able to do that. I don't think the game is going to let me place it. If we come in here, I think it's under containers. So we don't want the cheap one. We want the normal one. Yeah. So I don't really want to buy the land because obviously it's going to cost a lot of money. Green mill. Yeah. Oh, it is a farmland. Okay. I don't particularly want to buy said farmland because we don't need to own it. What we'll probably do, the fact that it is a farmland is good, and that means we can do that now, actually. farmland 172. So what we'll do is we'll save the game because we're going to do some construction. That's the word. I'm away and it means it's been quite a long day. So farmland 172. So we're going to go into easy dev. We're going to find the right menu. Farmlands. We're going to go to 172. We're going to set it to me. That should hopefully then let me place this, and I'm happy to pay for the building. You know, that doesn't bother me. And I think we can kind of tuck it in there. And we've got a few options, but I think we'll go for this one just because it's smaller. We've got free mode on, which I think means we should be good for not messing the terrain up. So I think we'll just do a little bit of just paint that out a little bit. There we go. And then we'll go back into F12. Back to that. We'll set that back to an NPC farmland. And if we click on, no, 12, 63. Oh crap, I did the wrong one. F12, 163 should be me, because that's my farm. Yeah. 172 we need to do. 172 we set to NPC. There we go. Yeah. So it's still there. Doesn't seem to have any triggers anymore. That because I don't own the land anymore? Let's just ping that back. Or is it just because I've got them turned off? I'm slightly confused there. So what we're going to do is that we're going to jump in our brand new shiny old truck, head up to the animal dealer and see if we can buy some potatoes or something cheap, but that will have benefit to the animals. And to be honest, we can just store them in the truck for now, I guess. So let's go for a little drive. Interior is okay, yeah. Let's not crash into too many trees. Not worried about taking out the odd low-hanging branch. And I was kind of expecting this to struggle a little bit on the hills. I was expecting it to be a little bit underpowered. But, you know, that's the benefit of buying a cheap truck. Let's go. I wasn't expecting it to easily and routinely do 55. Maybe downhill with a following wind. But break. There we go. So let's see if. Oh, we can. Awesome. So potatoes. There we go. So 3,000 litres of potatoes cost us £1,000. That's kind of expensive, but you know, it'll probably do a decent job of keeping the find your words, man. The cows a bit happier for a bit, because I think potatoes are root crops are only like 10% of their feed, so we'll bung half of that in each side, and it'll perk the cows up a bit. Maybe we should have put the cheap one in. Question mark. That would cost a bit more than I thought it was going to, but anyway, you can let me know your thoughts on that down below. I'm not sure if 3,000 litres of potatoes is going to last us ages. It's fine, but and one of the things that I'm hoping is that this harvest season we can pick up contracts for a bunch of things that are going to improve the feeding of the cows. So I'm hoping that we can get root crop contracts, maybe things like peas and stuff, but we'll see. But for now, we're going to bung in about 1,500 litres in each. Hopefully this doesn't empty super quick. I'm kind of poised, ready for it to go a bit nuts. Oh, it's not too bad. Awesome. There we go. So I was worried that it was going to have like an insane tip rate. So there we go. Job's good. Let's ignore all of those collisions and things. We'll put the truck over here now. Yep, the truck can go in here. Obviously truck will be useful for silage season. So back in the stire and let's get some grass. So I am at the point where I'm cutting the headland. I actually need to check where I was cutting last, because I don't remember. Yes. So I went round the very outside. Looks like we're here. That's where we're going to go from anyway. So and we're going to put this on. We're going to do a few more headlands for this bit. There we go. Pick up the headland and off we go. So yeah, I'm going to probably fill this up a couple of times. We are getting through a fair bit of grass. This may have been the point where I should have fed TMR. I think next month is probably going to be the point where we should feed TMR. Wow, what am I doing here? Good question, well asked. Answers on postcard. Yeah, this month maybe should have been the point where we fed TMR. I think next month almost certainly is, so we can let some grass grow. The middle is going to be in a harvestable state, but not great. It's going to be at this harvestable state. We might have some stuff. If we've got some stuff that's at maximum growth state, we should cut it and feed it. if we've not got anything left, because I'm going to have had to mow it to get the cows through. And I'm saying all of it. I should let this stuff grow. In fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to finish this strip. I'm going to be more intelligent. Now, saying that, is it more intelligent to do that, or I don't know? Because we need to use up the randomly pressing buttons. We need to use up the maize silage anyway. So, yeah, I think it would make more sense if we use up some of the TMR. We're preparing for when we need to have space for the maize silage. So, I'm going to do that. So what we need to do is drop. I'm going to leave the I know this is unrealistic, and if that offends you, well, realism is overrated. We're going to leave the grass in the forage wagon. I know, terrible person. So we're going to drop that off there. We're going to drop this all the way over here. There we go. Been a while since we've made TMR. You're a bale shredder, aren't you? You're a TMR mixer. Bale shredder. We need to put straw in the cow sheds. We use a bale shredder for that. Let's shred some bales. It's all a thing, isn't it? It's all a thing, yeah. All very overrated, this looking after cow stuff, but you know, we'll get there. We'll get there. I know what I'm doing, honest. Right, let's do that. We're now going to need to move that, which means we need to use this tractor. This tractor could possibly load up the straw, but we've spent a whole load of money on a fine wine, so we may as well use it. Remember, folks, realism, tabbing is not a thing that happens in the real world. Well, it is actually, but not in the sense of moving between vehicles. It means something different. And depending on where you're from, it means many different things. Yeah. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Oh well. Far too aggressive there. I remember I think it was the first day I was at university. Well, first day I was away and in my student accommodation. And there was a misunderstanding about the meaning of the word tab. I do not mean the button on your keyboard. Oh, that's quite spicy on the old controls there, Mr. Merlot. It has a variety of meanings for slang in the UK. Particularly alternative meanings in regional dialect. And let me just adjust vehicle arm sensitivity. Why is that at 100%? Yeah, particularly north versus south. I think anyway. That certainly seemed to be the case with the people in the university accommodation I was in, because a lot of us were from the south, And there were one or two from the north. One of the ones from the north asked for a tab, and all the ones from the south gave her a very strange look. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because it probably references, well, it does reference things that aren't great for monetization on YouTube. Potentially, depending on your interpretation of the slang term. So, you know, we're going to stop there. But it certainly doesn't refer to moving yourself between vehicles using the key on your keyboard. But what we have managed to do, whilst I have rambled away on that utter rubbish, is bed down the first set of cows. And to continue with the ramblification, I'm not really keeping up with my YouTube comments at the moment. I don't know if I've done a farm sim video recently. So if you only watch farm sim videos, life's been a bit shit lately, to be blunt. And I'm not really keeping up with YouTube comments. I'm kind of being a little bit isolating myself a little bit from stuff. And so I've not actually checked to see if this person replied or not to my response. It wasn't on a farm sim video, but they complained that I ramble. They like my videos, but I ramble too much, and I should ramble less. And it's like, well, it's kind of a part of how I do things. So if I ramble too much, you don't like my videos. So no, go watch someone else. Was a paraphrasing of what I said. There was a no, go watch something else in there, because I'm pretty blunt generally when people say change how you make your videos. For the most part, because if you don't like how I make my videos, that means you don't like my videos. Yeah, it's like, I like your videos, but could you just change completely how you do them? Means you don't like them. But I haven't looked to see if they replied or not. It's like, if you don't like the fact that I talk through, you know, in this case it was I was talking through my thought processes. If you don't like the fact that I do that, you don't like how I make videos. So yeah. Anyway, the rambling prompted that to jump into my head. It's like, I ramble a lot in videos. I'm also having to stop the recording because I'm coughing a bit because I had a salted caramel milkshake with my dinner and it causes me to cough, and I should know better than to order it, but opposed to doing stupid running things, I'm not so strict with my diet at the moment, and yeah. So I've had a massive burger and fries and a rather large milkshake for dinner. Which probably means I'll feel even rougher tomorrow, but, you know, when I'm traveling, dining options aren't always the greatest, and eating the way I would normally eat is a bit of a faff, to be honest. Options are limited, so yeah. It was much easier to just go to the hotel restaurant and get food. And they do takeout food, which obviously, if you know me, is a good thing. Because I can order it online and then they text me when it's ready and I go pick it up. And it's all rather good. So now we need the forage mixer. That's the word that I meant to say. It looks like we might need to get some mineral delivered. But that's okay because we have monies. Let's remind ourselves what we need to put in this thing. So thankfully the recipe is written on the side, or not as the case may be, because this isn't Maize Plus, is it? No, it's not. But what we can do is that, and then go to show mixtures. So we want some hay and some silage, and then maybe we could use the last of the wheat up actually to turn it into an mix. And I also managed to give you guys a black screen doing that. I think it's because the combination of buttons that brings up the the animal food thingy also changes the scene in OBS. So 6,000. We've got a lot of hay. We've got a lot of hay. Don't remember how much the feed mixer holds. That we should be able to get by standing next to it. No. Okay. Okay. Who remembers how much the feed mixer holds? Can't hear you. Speak louder at the back, please. I don't even remember what blooming brand it is. Jeez. There we go. That's that brand. The brand that shall not be named. That's written on the side. That's really handy of them, isn't it? Right, let's do that. Let's do... grab to the bucket. That, I don't know if that's the same brand of bucket. Anyway. We could have probably got it swapped. Yeah, it is. I could have probably just swapped it over, couldn't I? Oh well. No big deal. Yeah, we'll put in that whole 300 litres of wheat. Yeah. And we'll put in a bunch of silage. Maybe I should have got a bigger bucket because I'd forgotten that we need to do silage with the bucket. That's okay. That's okay. We can work it. And maybe I shouldn't have put the truck in there because I'd forgotten that we need to do silage with a bucket. But we do need to get through some of this 70,000 litres of silage. So I think maybe we fill the rest of it with silage. Because we can always alter the mix and do it hay heavier in the future. But that's a TMR. So that's good. I can still make TMR. Yay me. It's been a while. Come on. Fill the bucket. Thank you. Should really move the truck out of the way. But, you know. We're doing it. We're doing it. There we go. In you go. Push that out a little bit. I should have plugged in my controller. I didn't realise I was going to be doing quite so much telehandler work, to be honest. Because otherwise I might have. That would have probably made this a little bit easier. But the Merlot is justifying its existence already. But yeah, once we've got the cows fed, I'm not sure there's going to be much to do until July. I don't want to do even more contracts because spent a lot of time doing contracts on here, and honestly it felt a bit excessive. So probably what I'll do is, I mean, you might know from the thumbnail at this point, because I might have skipped all the way ahead to harvest, because we are in that kind of position that that's the next thing to do, which seems kind of excessive. But how's that looking for a mix? Yeah, we can just keep bunging it in, I think, because we put in we put a whole bale of hay in, which is a third, so that's way more than the 20-odd%. So yeah. And I should maybe have kept the potatoes out in hindsight, because we could have then put them in the TMR, but it is what it is. It's turning out to be a bit of a waste of money, was doing this, but they should be saved effectively because the feed will be out of balance, so they should not eat all of the potatoes. I think I'm going to have to do a couple of mixes. I don't think one mix is going to be enough to get them through. I'll do another mix, and I'll probably see you folks in the morning. Okay, it is June 1, and we're going to do something I wasn't expecting to have crop up, or actually intend to do, because they're not always the funnest job, but we're going to do a spinach harvesting contract. Because it looks like it's going to come with a healthy excess, according to better contracts. If better contracts lies to me, I am going to be mightily cheesed off. But it looks like we should get about 11,000 litres of excess out of this, which feels pretty good to me. So if I just double check that, those numbers look very different to what it just told me. So we'll see it. It also says it's only going to take me 20 minutes, which I'm not sure I believe. If we check, let's go to the wrong places. We check the finances. Best price for spinach is $4.12. It's already on $4.08, so we could just go sell it straight away when we get the excess. So, but I did bring over the little truck. The last time I did spinach was when I was playing with Eagles on our Frontier multiplayer, and I tried doing spinach just to see what it was like, and I think I concluded it sucked. But I guess we'll see if I still feel that that's the case. I probably want to start from the start. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I concluded that it sucked. So we'll see. But 50,000 litres to deliver. I'm pretty sure it said 20,000 when I accepted the contract. So I'm a little bit worried. And it says we're going to get 75, so it looks like we're going to maybe get 20-odd thousand excess, which is pretty nice, because that's like 10 grand. So yeah, I'm just hoping it doesn't turn into a marathon effort, because it's already relatively late. It probably means I'm not going to get this video edited tonight, which sucks. But such is life, folks. Such is life. This thing does not want to behave when you go around a corner. But yeah, you know, la vie, as they say. It is what it is. We cannot, well, we could change it because I could not accept the contract, but I'm not going to, because it, and I did say I wasn't going to do a load of contracts, but this one kind of piqued my interest. I don't know why. I mean, thankfully it looks like this thing holds a heck of a lot. It looks like this holds 3,500 litres? Yeah, 3,500 litres. So if we fill this up, we're going to be most of the way to completing the contract. So that's pretty good. Yeah, I've not done a lot with spinach. I'm curious as to whether we'll get to see this field again, because spinach regrows. It was one of the reasons that I was curious about doing it as a crop on the save that I mentioned. So let's do a little bit of a, I guess, some sort of cut in so we can try and turn. I don't know how you're supposed to harvest this stuff. You know, I've never seen anyone harvesting spinach. Now it's a contract field, so we can't destroy the crop, so that's okay. So we'll just kind of do a thing, I guess. There we go. Go on, get back on your line. There we go. And yeah, well, we do it, to quote Grok TV. I was also tempted by the fact that it's quite close to the farm, so I thought it would be useful. It's also barley harvesting. I was going to say season, but it's the first month that we could be getting barley harvesting contracts. There are a bunch of other fields that are in the harvest ready state, and I was kind of hoping we'd get some of those. I mean, not that we need straw, because we're almost at the point where our oat field will be ready to harvest, and we've got a fair few bales left from last year, so we probably don't need to be going crazy on those. Probably better to just be making progress through time, he says, as he takes on what's probably going to be a relatively time-consuming contract. So, you know, says one thing, does another. Classic, innit? But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Well, if it frustrates you, you could not watch. I always give you that option. You know, you're not forced to. So, but yeah, I don't know. It just appealed, but really, and it's not cost of. The numbers appeal to me because of the amount I can earn, but time efficiency wise, I should have just got out hoeing again. Because the spinach is not part of what I've got set up in the feeding, so it's not like I'm getting free food. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I've had some sort of brain fart. I did say it's been a long day, didn't I? So today was not the ideal combination of work situations. Obviously, I'm not going to go into details because I don't do details of work because I can't and I don't want to. But I am away, and as is typically the case, away meant a good 3 or so hours driving from home. But I couldn't start that until I'd done, I think it ended up being 3.5 hours of meetings this morning. Might have been more than that, actually. Felt like more than that. So yeah, and you're going to sit there. That's a fraction of my working day. Yeah, maybe, but that wasn't all of my work day. So, and if your work day is longer than that, well, good for you. Good for you. But it wasn't all of my day. But it's made the day quite long and tiring because 3.5 hours of meetings is quite taxing on the old brain. So, and they didn't go quite as I had hoped. So, yeah. As many of you know, change is bad. And some stuff that has been pretty consistently the same for quite a long time changed. So, that was not so good, at least not for me. And it means that it's more complicated for me to sort out, rather lazily, rather than relying on someone else to sort it out. I know, but it's kind of nice when you can do that, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Just looking at this field. No, it's not. I keep getting confused between Field 5 and Farmland 129. So, Farmland 129 we had when we were here before. It was the farmland that DS Agri, which were the patrons, cleared of all the trees in like 3 milliseconds because they were enthusiastic. And then I put cows on because it was a relatively cheap plot of land. We made a bunch of money selling the trees. And then we were able to, well, I used it because I had a very similar setup to what I have now, in that I had 2 of the self-made cow sheds, and we had more cows than could fit in there. So, as a way of accommodating slightly more when the weather was good, we had a pasture out there. So I made a custom, because back in the days of FS22, you couldn't just magically draw them. Well, you could eventually because we had the expandable pasture pack, but that's different. Before then, I made a custom pasture which fit in there. So, and it were good. It were good. Well, actually, it was a little bit janky because it didn't go in quite as smoothly as one would have liked in terms of the terrain. But, you know, terrain in FS is always well, not always, but sometimes a bit funny. I was kind of pleased with the one that we just put in next to the animal dealer, that it didn't go all crazy, because sometimes it can go a bit crazy, can't it? Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to carry on chomping through some spinach, a bit like Popeye. And I'll maybe be back when we're about full, which is probably going to be after another couple of headlands. And we'll see what unloading this thing is like. I can pretty much remember. And it's quite nice if we've got a decent capacity trailer. And been making use of said trailer on my for fun save, doing harvesting contracts. Okay, helps if you lower the head of the harvester. Little tip for you there, folks. Here with all of the tricks and tips. Yeah, so I'll be back in a little while. On to headland number 5, and we are almost full. So headland number 4 is disappointing because of the tram lines. Tram lines are always disappointing. Now, there is a way to turn them off for NPCs. I should probably do that because that would increase the yield off of NPC fields. You have to go into the XML for precision farming, and it won't take effect until the next planting cycle. But I think it would be worth doing because it massively impacted the yield. Now, saying that, I do prefer the look of fields that have tramlines in. I've rambled on about that a fair bit, that I think maps look more realistic with tramlines. Now, you may be from a country where farmers don't put tramlines in their fields, and that's fine. You might think it looks less realistic. Where I come from, most fields have tramlines in them, so seeing fields with tramlines in around the map does improve how it looks from a purely maximizing return point of view, not having them more better. So yeah, it's kind of, you know, from a, if I'm going to do lots of contracts point of view and we want to maximize return, we should turn them off. If I want the map to look nice, I should leave them on. So, I don't know. It would be really nice if we could finish this headland before it fills up. I don't know if we will, but it would be nice. And the fact that we've got 35,000 litres off of the headlands is kind of cool. Now, I don't remember how we unload that beastie, so I don't even remember which side it unloads from. But what we're going to do is park next to it. We go. Yep, awesome. Cool. So we'll get that emptied and then we'll crack on. And how much does that big trailer hold? Not enough to fit it all in one go, but you know, if we just keep going now, by the time we've refilled, we're going to have harvested enough to complete the contract, which is pretty cool. Now, I think, while I'm so fed up of how often it hails in this game, it's stupid. I did actually have a look at the environment files to see if I could fix it, but looking at it, the amount it hails doesn't seem to be in relation to how often hail is set to occur. Giants, fix the game. They need to fix the game. No, I don't know. Something weird is going on with hail in the game, because it seems to hail way more often than it should, based on looking at, unless I looked in the wrong place. It's confusing. And it's just kind of frustrating. It's like, it's June. Why is it hailing in June? I don't remember the last time in the UK it hailed in June. So, now I know probably that Cav has copied the weather from one of the Giants baseline maps. But given that those are the US, and probably it's either going to be the US one or the European one, likely there isn't a lot of hail in either of those in June either. So, yeah. I feel like there's something up with the weather. Maybe it's global warming. Maybe it's that the weather's not set up properly, but yeah. So we need to harvest another 20,000 litres to complete the contract. That's right, isn't it? 55, yeah. So once we've got that done, what I might do is do the 2 deliveries, because then anything that's left is ours, and theoretically we can put in our truck, which is waiting for us, which has been left running, as has the Merlot, which I know will probably be driving some of you crazy, which it's one of those things, isn't it? Virtual diesel is cheap, folks, and it's not real dead dinosaurs that we're burning, so then maybe that's why I have so much hail in the game, you know. I keep leaving virtual vehicles running and I'm creating more virtual global warming. Maybe I am a victim of my own laziness. That could be a thing, couldn't it? That could be a thing. It's not, but anyway. I'm hoping that once we get this cut-in opened up a bit more, things will get easier because we'll be within the turning circle of this beastie. It's certainly not been a 20-minute job. Never believe the times that better contracts tells you they are based on some assumptions, and you know what happens when you assume. You make an arse out of you and umption. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, random little story for you. I, not so much now, because it turns out he's a complete frickin' nutter. I used to enjoy Steven Seagal's films when I was younger, and before he turned into a complete frickin' nutter. Particularly, well, actually most of them, but anyway, turned into a bit of a nutter now, so yeah. Anyway, let's ignore that. And I think it was Under Siege 2, which is maybe not one of his finest films, you know, Under Siege on a train. But one of the things that always stuck in my mind from that was never assume. And honestly, through life, I've always got very fed up of people assuming things about me. Now, if you've met me, it can be quite easy to assume from how I look certain things about me. And so I've always had this thing in my head that you should never assume things. And then I got into my job, and within the first few weeks, it was like, right, we need to state the assumptions, and my brain, but we don't assume. Now, obviously, with and you know, in engineering and things like that, you have assumptions, but in maths. In the maths that I'd done, because I'd done a lot of pure mathematics, there wasn't a lot of that. So my brain was roaring in the background. Now, over time, I've kind of learned that that's part of the engineering process. But that first few times, it was just like, but we never assume. And yeah, anyway, that's a very random story, I know. But some of you like the random stories, so, you know, that's why we're here, isn't it? We needed another 8,000 litres of spinach. Now, when I started off, it looked like we were going to get gallons of spinach off of this field, but You know, looking at it now, we've chopped through quite a lot of it, and I'm not so convinced we're going to get the big excess that we were promised. Again, don't trust better contracts always. It's assuming. That's how we got to assuming. Yeah. You know, I don't know if when better contracts does its calculations, it works everything out based on all of the field states, or whether it's doing some simplified calculations. Certainly, I'm pretty sure when I looked at what it was expecting us to deliver, and it might be me misreading or misremembering, the numbers looked very different. So anyway, I'm not knocking better contracts. It's an awesome mod, and I would have no idea of how to do any of the stuff that it does. So don't take it that I'm knocking the mod. It's a great mod. I just think that you need to be careful about how much weight you put on some of the stuff that it says. And I think sometimes with some of these mods, I wish they would say less. Because people do put a lot, you know, if the number's there, they assume it's definitely always right. Whereas often it's an approximation or an estimation. So, but yeah, I may actually get this video edited tonight, depending on how much longer this jobby takes us, which would be nice. It would be good to get it edited tonight. One of the dumb things that I've done on this trip, it's not the first time I've done it, thankfully it's not a super long trip, is forgotten my medication. I did mention that today was not the best lead-in to travelling, and the last meeting that I had before I left overrun by a good 45 minutes, I think it was. Might not have been that much, at least half an hour. And I was a little bit, it threw my schedule off. So I was kind of rushing to finish getting packed and get the car loaded up. And it meant I forgot to pick my meds up. So in the UK we have a service where you can order an emergency prescription from the NHS, and I'm considering doing that because I'm not sure going for a day and a half without them is a good idea, because they're the kind of med that you don't just stop taking. I've done it before and been largely okay, but it's not the best idea in the world. It depends whether I can get it sorted around work. Might see if I can arrange it in the morning, but by then I'll be in work all day tomorrow, so I won't be able to pick it up until tomorrow afternoon at best, and then I'm driving home the next morning, so you know, it's a little bit is it really worth it? What I keep meaning to plan to do, because I always travel with the same bag, 55 to 100, so we need about another 300 litres. What I keep meaning to do is to put some in the bag that I travel with as an emergency and not actually plan to use them. But I keep forgetting to do that. So if we go deliver this, come back, get what's left, then everything else is ours, or ours. So up that way. Actually, it looks like there's a reasonable amount left in the field. So, not too bad. Not too bad. Break. If you hadn't stopped, buddy, we wouldn't be filling in insurance paperwork right about now. I do like that this is a map that I know my way around. Yes, I'm crashing a lot. You know, it's a map that I played so much in 22 that I know my way, thankfully. Where was the delivery point? I was all the way up there. Okay. So it's the supermarché. I thought the supermarket was closer. He says he knows his way around, and then, yeah. Anyway. It's the dairy first, isn't it? Yeah. Come on, Fent. Come on, let's give her... I was going to try and change gear, but it's a Vario, so there's no changing gear. Unless we want to go backwards. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Don't forget to brake when you get close. Because you've got to make the turn. There we go. Slow care. It's better than it saying slow children, I guess. They would be on the playground. Don't be offended. There we go. Let's make sure we're at the right dump point, because I've done a bunch of contracts on to the save where I always kept going to the wrong place, which was really frustrating. It was a weekend of being very, very not with it. And yeah, I was playing Farm Sim to try and occupy my mind, but oh, good job it's not my tractor, eh? Yeah, I was playing Farm Sim to try and occupy my mind to some extent, and when you're not properly paying attention and you've got like 4 harvesting contracts open, you really should pay attention to which one you're delivering to where. Yeah. It's a really good idea. Just a little tip for you, folks. Just a little tip. Just a tip. Let's jump. What a surprise, it's freaking hailing still. Because, you know, in June, it often constantly hails in the UK. Alright, let's go pick up the rest of it. And I guess we could empty the harvester and then carry on harvesting. Because, yeah. Let's do that. And stop. Because then any excess can go in. You're going to empty? No, we are not close enough. There we go. Yeah, I'm kind of curious as to how much we're going to get off of here. Maybe it will be the 20,000 litres they promised me. Come on. It's lowering. Let me switch on. So when I did this on the other save that I mentioned, the Frontier save, I was trying to use cosplay a lot. And from memory, it doesn't do brilliantly, so you can run the harvester on cosplay. The issue is with the way that it empties. Cosplay may have been updated because that was a while ago, but back then it wasn't particularly cosplay friendly. So it wasn't the smoothest process in the world. You needed to do a bit of manual intervention to unload. I think you could drive up by the side of it and it would stop and unload, but I really don't remember. It was a while ago. Yeah. But I mean, the double yield pays quite nicely. Obviously, if you get it refertilized and you're super keen and you're early, you can get good money off it. I'm not going to deny that, but I don't think I've done a spinach harvesting contract before. We did peas, I think, and lost me temper with it. I think it was peas. It was one of the ones where you had to drive by the side of it because it had no capacity. It's got capacity. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe they've changed it. Now that only said 3,000 litres, so it's not a huge capacity, is it? But yeah. All that normally spinach. So spinach is one of the few plants that I eat. Don't mind a bit of spinach with some olive oil, balsamic vinegar, a bit of parmesan, proper parmesan, not that crap they have in America. Not the stuff that's made out of half sawdust. Yeah, tasty. I was watching a YouTube video yesterday. Yeah, yesterday on foods that are banned in everywhere in the world except America, which was quite funny. Actually, they didn't really talk too much about that. Kind of what they ended up speaking about was more foods that have protected status. So like champagne, parmesan, proper parmesan is protected. Weirdly, one I didn't know, because I didn't realize America has a few protected foods, and one of them reminded me of the charity stream that the guys did. I'll try and remember to put the link in, because the link is still live for that if anyone wants to, for example, pick themselves up a cheap copy of Farm Sim, because you can still do that. I think there are still cheap copies anyway. But because Mr. CDP ate an onion on there, and someone was like, "Oh, it'll be okay if it's a Vidalia onion because they're super sweet." But those are only grown in certain parts of Georgia in the US, I believe. Something like that, anyway. So it's one of the few regionally protected foods from the US. But yeah, it was kind of funny. And you know, the American cheese food product was one they talked about a lot. Parmesan, that stuff that Americans sprinkle on their food that doesn't even need to be refrigerated, that they claim is Parmesan. Non-dairy whip stuff, coffee creamer. Yeah, use cream if you want cream in your coffee. Anyway, the YouTube algorithm clearly understands some of what I enjoy, because it was basically a European going, "I don't understand American food," which was quite funny, but it was not meant to be funny, because it was, you know, kind of quite a serious difference between the different approaches to food administration. But it was also kind of funny. Right, a few more rows to go, and we will be done. So I think I'm going to finish this up, and I will be back to show you how much we get. Okay, we are very close to done. I've taken the Fent over to the supermarket as well, to save you having to watch the abomination of my driving to get over there. So once we've finished harvesting, we can unload into the truck and then deliver, and then we'll be done. Although we could sell the spinach as well, because the price is pretty good. But I think I'm going to save that, mainly because I'm really tired, and it feels like I've been doing this for quite a while. And I would like to try and edit this video before I go to sleep. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm not going to sell our spinach. I'm going to save that for another occasion. We might do it at the start of the next video. I don't know, because potentially I'll need to skip ahead again. So maybe we will sell it. Where is the best? The best, we could sell it at the animal dealer, actually, so we could sell it just there. So that might be a good idea. You can be switched off. We can raise up the bunker. You raise me up. I won't sing anymore, don't worry. Right. Come on. Tip. You're supposed to be a bulk trailer. Please tell me you take spinach. No spinach? Okay. In that case, we're going to do this. Which should complete the delivery. And then we're going to do... all this is legal, including the crashing. I'll be doing it with the bunker extended. It's questionable. Yep, very questionable. what we're going to do is re-extend the bunker. Been just straight sell the excess like this. Why not, eh? 7 grand is not too bad, and then we will collect on that, and we've made a healthy little bit of money. And I need to drive the truck back, but that is going to be it for today, folks. So thank you for watching. Thank you to the patrons and YouTube channel members. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. I will see you all next time.